Padil around the corner for Adam Reach to get a crossover. Can he do so? He puts it into the middle, Fletcher's up there with the keeper, scrambles it away. What a goal! The goalkeeper just got his tips to it, but it came back to Hooper and he angles in along the floor, and Wednesday have taken the lead in this crucial game against the Rams.
Sheffield Wednesday means everything to me. Home and away, I'm there.
It's in the blood.
It's in the blood, yeah.
Yeah.
The blood is...
It's right there.
It's blue and white.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sheffield, the place where football was invented. In this city, located in the region of South Yorkshire, in the north of England, started the biggest sport in the world. Sheffield FC was the first team in 1857, but Hallam FC, Sheffield United, and of course Sheffield Wednesday are part of the history of the event that gathers millions and millions of people every weekend.
It's very good to the city. To everything, in the economy, the social, the name of the city, go everywhere, and this is, I think, is very positive.
The 4th of September of 1867, some members of the Wednesday Cricket Club decided to found the current Sheffield Wednesday, and just 3 months later they played his first match. After 150 years of history, the Owls are still one of the most important football clubs in the world.
The goalkeeper, oh, what a marvellous goal that was!
It was formed back in 1867 when, from a cricket club, and the members who played cricket in the summer wanted to keep together over the winter because they didn't see each other. And somebody decided that, well, why don't we start a football section? So they took a vote and they were formed on the 4th of September 1867.
But Sheffield is not only the house of football and Sheffield Wednesday, it's also called the Steel City, because since the 17th century has been one of the main steel and cutlery manufacturers in the world. Innovations such as the crucible and stainless steel were developed here and exported to every region in Europe. Great Britain was the first country industrialized in the world, and employers, in order to avoid fights and abusive drinking among their workers in their spare time, developed several sports such as football, rugby, tennis or snooker, and nowadays they are still played in every part of the world.
The reason why they were called Wednesday because in Sheffield at the time, different trades had different half-day holidays. And the holiday for the people that made cutlery, etc., was a Wednesday afternoon. So that was when they could play cricket. So they could play cricket on a Wednesday and then on a Saturday. So obviously they decided because they were playing on a Wednesday, they'd take the day of the week as their name.
Wallace's delivery. When the heads go up, it's there! It's Tom Lees who has gone up here for Sheffield Wednesday!
It's impossible to talk about Sheffield Wednesday without looking at his temple, Hillsborough.
It's one of the best feelings ever. You just soak up the atmosphere. Everyone is just one big family, and it's just great to be a part of it.
I've had a season ticket at Sheffield Wednesday for 40 years now. I've been going since I was, home and away since I was a very small boy, and it gets in your blood, and it's important to support what I'd call proper clubs from where you live.
When Hillsborough's rocking, it's a real special place, and it's a genuinely 12th man who really get behind the team and drive results home.
I just love coming here. It's just a lovely club, friendly club, and we just love it, don't we?
The pork sandwiches!
Pork sandwiches.
However, the team did not always play here. it was not until 1899 when the club moved from Olive Grove to his new stadium in the area of Ollerton.
The local council, which was called the corporation in them days, they said, "Oh, we'll never chuck you out." But 2 years later, they said, "We're chucking you out." So one of the games, they had the fans to vote where they wanted to go, and a place called Carbrook and this place at Ollerton was second. But eventually, they decided to go to Ollerton because the land was cheaper.
The new stadium also brought with it the nickname by which the club and the supporters are usually called, the Owls.
It was about 1911. One of their players presented him with an owl. I think it was about that high, about 3 foot high, and they put it under the eaves of the stand to ward off all the pigeons, etc. And they won, I think it was the next 4 or 5 home games. Everybody said, "Oh, it's a lucky owl." And obviously they played at Ollerton, and then suddenly they got a lucky owl. So 2 and 2 equals 4, owls. And Wednesday said, "Well, we don't want to be called that," but it stuck, and that was it.
20 years after the opening of Hillsborough came the most prolific period in the story of Sheffield Wednesday. In the late 20s and the beginning of 30s, the club won 2 leagues and 1 FA Cup in just 7 years.
Probably had their arguably the best ever team. And sadly for Wednesday fans, most of the best days had been before the war, before the Second World War.
He'll hit it hard, he'll hit it through! And for the second week in a row, Mel Sterland...
However, after the Second World War, the club experimented a long period of transition in which there were constant up and downs between the First Division and the Championship. And it was not until the beginning of the 90s when the team recovered his status again, lifting the League Cup against Manchester United.
Really is a potent strike force that Wednesday bring to Wembley today. David Hurst with 25 goals this season, Paul Williams with 17. Down the byline for Hearts, who might well make a little run down that right-hand side. There he goes, there goes Hearts. Now will Worthington play it? No, he plays the long one this time. A terrific goal by Sheridan! A terrific goal for Sheffield Wednesday. Big shot it was. Free kick by Worthington.
I went down to the game with a friend of a friend who was a Man United fan. He obviously kept his head down. Nobody knew. This is when you can come, but just don't say anything, especially if we lose. But obviously we won.
4 minutes of time added on! Sheffield Wednesday are the winners!
I remember the ball going in all the celebrations, and the celebrations afterwards, and going home on, because it wasn't the best goal, but it was the most important goal. So Sheridan's at Wembley. I mean, I was there, and obviously it's the only trophy they've won in generations, isn't it?
Like every big club in the world, Sheffield Wednesday shares the city with a big rival, an enemy against it has played more than 120 times since the first one in 1899. Sheffield United is also part of the history of the Owls.
Quite a lot of teams around us, like Barnsley and Rotherham, Leeds and Huddersfield, and the media says, "Oh, it's a derby." And you go into that game thinking, "Oh, I'd like to win, it'd be great." But then you say it's a Sheffield derby, it's a completely different thing.
Wednesday knocking on the door here. There goes the goalkeeper! Oh, it's in! Sheffield United furious, they feel as though...
Most of it is just stress. "Oh, I don't want to lose, I don't want to lose." It's not a case of, "Oh, we're going to win." The main thing is, "Oh, I don't want to lose."
Down.
In 150 years of history, there were plenty of steel derbies. However, one that still remains in the memory of the Owls was in 1993, in the semi-final of the FA Cup in Wembley.
We got a free kick, maybe 35, 40 yards out. It was a long way out, and United decided to only put a one-man wall. So it was just to the right of the centre circle, but a long way out. And Waddle, who was, even though he played most of his career on the right wing, he was left-footed. So it was it was the right side, and he just curled it, and it flew into the top right-hand corner of the goal.
Oh, he does, and he scores! Anything Paul Gascoigne can do, Chris Waddle can do. Alan Kelly beaten before
could touch the ball.
Honestly, in my life, I have never said yes so many times in such a short space of time, because that's all I did was just shout at the top of my voice, yes, 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 like some maniac commentator from South American TV, you know.
The last time that they played was in 2012, when Sheffield Wednesday won 1-0 in Hillsborough. But this season, the Steel Derby comes back again.
Well, for 5-6 years, so you just want to, if you win it's fantastic, but if you lose it's disastrous.
Unfortunately, in the history of Sheffield, it's impossible not to remember every day the 96 lives that were taken away and the 766 injured in Hillsborough the 15th of April of 1989. 20 minutes before the kick-off of the semi-final of the FA Cup between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest, a large crowd of fans builds up outside the Leppings Lane turnstiles. In order to relieve the pressure, some police officers this day ordered to open the gates, allowing 2,000 more supporters to enter in the already packed pens. This measure provoked a human crash that resulted in one of the worst sports tragedies ever.
It was a combination of lack of organisation, somebody not saying don't go down there, go that way, people trying to get in because it were almost kick-off, and then people not reacting quick enough because they just thought it was hooliganism again.
After the tragedy, some newspapers published that the problem was caused by the behavior of some fans. It was a period when hooligans caused troubles almost every weekend. But after looking for the responsibles for more than 15 years, in 2016 the jury blamed security problems and stadium design faults as the main causes of the tragedy of Hillsborough. Nowadays, the 96 heroes are still remembered at almost every match. A big part of the success of the club during these 150 years of history has been without any doubt its former players. Through the Sheffield Wednesday Academy has passed legends like Mark Smith, Mel Sterland or Steve Haslam among others. All of them were born and raised in Sheffield, and all of them made their debut with their first team making history for the Owls. In the current squad, Liam Palmer or Joe Will Smith are other good examples of it.
Yeah, it's a real proud moment. Academy, our main purpose is to provide players for the first team, and when you see someone like Joe who's been with us from a young age and progress and really develop and play for the England junior teams and then make his first team debut for the club, it's a real proud moment.
Thousands of youngsters of all ages train every day in the sports centre of Sheffield Wednesday in Middlewood. Expert trainers make them thrive in the football pitch. But sometimes they also have to help them to cope with one of the worst enemies of a professional sportsman, the pressure.
We're always there to give advice and help and guide the players forward. Pressure, it's part of the game, a big part for young players to cope with. It's about being able to regulate it and sort of redirect that pressure into a positive. And you know, we're fortunate that we're working at a big club in Sheffield Wednesday where there's a lot of expectation and there is pressure to succeed, but that's something that's got to be a real positive aspect of our job.
But it's not all about football. In the Sheffield Wednesday Academy are well aware that the formation of the youngsters is crucial to guarantee their success not only in sport, but also in their future lives.
We are trying to create good people as well as good footballers, so off the pitch it's about treating people with respect, behaving in a proper and professional manner and really acting in a way that befits the standing of the club. You make the boys aware that when they walk through the gates and when they join the club and they're around the city, they're representing the club at all times, and it's their duty to represent the club in the best possible light, because make no bones about it, this is a fantastic club and it's one that we're very proud of, and anyone coming into this environment, it's really important that they behave in the right way.
There is a part in every football club, and especially in Sheffield Wednesday, that it's impossible to replace. They follow the club every weekend, home and away, sunny or rainy. pouring down or snowing, it doesn't matter. The Owls fans put their heart and their soul into every match, and without them, probably Sheffield Wednesday wouldn't exist.
The best of the Sheffield Wednesday is the fans. They have fantastic fans. One of the best of the world, because the best fans is also in England. They follow the club to everywhere. They live the club in the sports events, social events. If you saw Olds on the park, you have thousands of the fans participating in that event all the time.
Thousands of players of all nationalities have passed through the club in these 150 years. Legends like John Sheridan, Chris Waddle or David Hirst are still etched in the memory of the fans of the Owls. And hopefully, Carlos Carvalhal, the first foreigner coach in the history of the team, will be remembered in the same way.
When you talk about football, Sheffield Wednesday is part of the history of the football because it's involved almost since the beginning of the football. And to me, I'm very, very proud. I'm the first foreigner coach in the club in 150 years. The third best rating in points in the whole history, something that make me and my staff and of course my players very proud to be part of this massive club.
Even though the club has been on the verge of it the last 2 seasons, it has been now 17 years without being in the Premier League. Too long for one of the most important clubs in the history of this beautiful sport.
They are doing the right things. They are signing really good players. Carlos and all the members of the staff, they are doing a really good job. I think that the good job will have a reward. But unlucky the last couple of sessions, but I think that if the club continue with that methodology, I think that they will get a reward.
Good Strode. Fletcher at the near post! Has done it! Just what they needed on a day when they dropped out of the top 6 again. That could well be a goal that sees them climb right back.